Shema Yasharallah, Yahweh Alahayna, Yahweh Chad, Wa'ahabta at Yahweh Alahayaka, Bakal Lababka, Wabakal Napashka, Wabakal Ma'adka. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh our power, Yahweh is one, and you shall love Yahweh your power with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. So we finished reading the whole Torah. Um, Shalom Regalia Dawada. We finished reading the whole Torah. So now we start all over again from Genesis, the first book of the Torah of Moses, written that Yahweh gave to him and then showed to Ezra to rewrite during the time of toward the end of the Babylonian captivity. So we're going to start with Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. We're not going to go deep into it. You got to understand also that a lot of the things in the Torah require you to do in-depth study, verse for verse, not just kind of gleaning through it and then knowing about the story of it per se, but it actually requires you to look at each verse thoroughly to get a better understanding. So what I'm doing when I read the Torah, I'm trying to show you the commandments and the laws and give you an overview of basic knowledge that you need in order to be efficient with the Torah. I'm not trying to give you deep mysteries and dark sayings. I'm trying to give you what Yahweh requires of you to know and to do to have eternal life. Okay? So we're going to start with Baraahshyath or Bereshit, Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1. Okay, read.
In the beginning, Elohim created the heaven and the earth.
So in the beginning, Elohim. The beginning is talking about the beginning of the things in our sphere of existence that affect us primarily physically. Because before this creation, we know we have wisdom being created. We know we have the sun being created. We know we have the Elohim being created. We know we have Yahweh again being created. We know we have darkness being created. Without Yahweh, nothing was created that was created. So in the beginning is talking about in our accounting of time, in our sphere, okay, where we are, Yahweh created. He created through his agents, Yahweh Shai and the angels. That's going back into Colossians and also going into Genesis. Going into the book of John, chapter 1. Okay. So in the beginning, it says that in the beginning, Elohim created what?
The heaven and the earth.
Now, when you look at that word right there, when it says created the heavens, it says Shamayim. So the word that we call heavens actually means that which is, or that which pertains to water. Sha and Mayam, Shamayim. So the actual words. So in the beginning, when you look in Colossians chapter 1 and in John chapter 1, Yahweh Shai, the Messiah, the son of Yahweh, is doing the creation process. Okay, the Father Yahweh is the soul, is the top of everything, but he's acting through his son Yahweh Shai to carry out the creation. Okay, so in the beginning, Elohim created the heavens. The heavens are the waters, that are around us. Primarily dealing with water, which is hydrogen and oxygen. That's what we have, throughout the hydrogen and oxygen. Let's just keep it at that. All right. So the waters, hydrogen, and dealing with oxygen. Okay. Now it says that he created the waters, the space, the liquid. These things are in the elements around us. Is what it's getting into. And then he created the Aratzah. The Aratzah is getting into everything that's in our atmosphere above us, and beneath us. That's getting to the earth. Okay, go ahead.
And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep.
So the earth, the elements that comprise the earth, were in the universe, but there was darkness. Nothing was formed. There was darkness. Nothing was formed. That's why they say space is dark and cold. Okay, so that's a kashar. Kashar is dark. Read.
And the spirit of Elohim moved upon the face of the waters.
So the spirit of Elohim, this gets into the creative forces. Now this gets into a little bit of wisdom, spirit of wisdom. When you go into the book of Proverbs chapter 8, you see how wisdom went out from creation. And also when you get into the wisdom of Solomon, you have to read the wisdom of the wisdom of Solomon to really understand how this is going into the spirit of wisdom also. So everything is acting and working together. So the spirit of Elohim this is not getting into wisdom, and this is getting into the Malaakim, the angels, which are all energetic forces of the Most High, of the Creator. Go ahead.
And Elohim said, "Let there be light."
So this is the first thing that is relevant to us in this story, this accounting of what happened from our perspective on the earth, looking up and looking around. So the Most High said, "Let there be light," which is Yahaya, a water. So he said, "Be light." So this light that was gets into the light that exists in the universe before the sun, before the stars, before the moon. They actually partake of that primary creation light. This is the light that everything is partaking of in the whole universe, because this light that he created goes through the whole universe now. All right. So all the molecules that cause light, whether you're talking about a nebula or things of that nature, whether you're talking about stardust, these are the things, the elements that he created that went out into the universe now. So the whole universe is kind of lit up. All right. So now when he made the light, let there be light, it overtook everything. It overtook the whole universe. All right. Go ahead.
And Elohim saw the light, that it was good.
So Elohim, which is the Father Yahweh, the Son Yahweh, and primarily dealing with the angels, the Malaakim. They saw the light, that it was good. This light was brilliant, went into the whole universe. Okay, that's what we have to understand. This light exists outside of the sun, stars, and moon. Light exists outside of fire. Okay, the light is an energy, is a spirit. And when you put things together, bam, now the light comes. Mainly caused by, explosions or friction, things of that nature. Okay, so the Most High created this light in the universe, and there was no sun, there was no other types of bodies in the universe yet. So this light goes into everything. And when you read the scriptures, it says that wisdom goes through everything by reason of her pureness. So this kind of goes into the spirit of wisdom also. It kind of goes into the spirit of wisdom also. But like I said, I don't want to get too deep with Genesis chapter 1. All right, go ahead.
And Elohim divided the light from the darkness.
So now the darkness was overtaken by the light. So now Yahweh said, okay, the darkness is going to be on one side, and now the light is going to be on the other side. So there was darkness, but the light totally took over the darkness. So now Yahweh had to take the darkness out of the light. Why? Because the light was stronger than the darkness. So now he had to take the darkness out of the light. He didn't take the light out of the darkness. Okay, read that again.
And Elohim divided the light from the darkness.
So divide the light from the darkness. Okay. So it says, Wa Yabadal. So that's separate or divide. Alahayim bayan, between ha'awar wa bayan ha-kashak. Ha-kashak. All right, so he divided, he separated between the light and between the darkness. Now, we're not going to really get into this in this lesson, but we have it on the board back here. I'm going to try to go over it pretty soon when we have the evening and the morning. Now, notice it says between. So why would it say, he separated between the you say you have A and B. So why would he say he separated between A and between B? Why is it between? Why is it separated between A and B? Because this is going into like cycle of light and dark. They're always going to touch each other, but have a buffer between them. That's how evening and morning are going to be. They have a buffer between them, but they still kind of touch each other, but they have that buffer. Okay? All right, go ahead.
And Elohim called the light day.
So all of the light at this point in the universe, at creation, and you have to really pay attention to what I'm saying, because we don't understand this. That's when people get into the false doctrine about the Sabbath being according to the new moon, or about the day for the Sabbath begins when the sun comes up, or begins at noon. Because people don't understand Genesis. They want to run to Ezekiel, they want to run to Isaiah, but they don't understand the creation of the elements and the light. That's a major factor in time. See, this is all about time we're reading about right now. This is the Most High giving you the clock of every day has to be like this in the part of the earth that we dwell in. So it says, read that again.
And Elohim called the light day.
So the light, wa yakwara'a Elohim la awar yawam. So the light was called day. Before the moon, before the sun, before the stars. Okay? Elohim said this is going to be called day, yawam. So that division that took place, remember now, he divided between the light and between the darkness. So that part of the darkness had a name. The part of the light that was there was called what? Was called Yawam. So this is a piece of light within creation. This is the first light that Yahweh created. And in the universe, he divided. So he set darkness on one and light on the other. So darkness and light are on two separate sides. But since it's talking about time, it's a rotation. So they do touch, but there's a buffer in between them. And that buffer is called Tzalal. Tzalal, what they call dusk and what they call dawn. But it's not here in Genesis, but when you go into further studies in the Bible, in the scriptures, the Most High uses these words. Jeremiah uses these words. Job uses these words. These words are used and they have to be plugged into the original paradigm, which is Genesis. So Tazalal, all right? Tazalal, all right? So now he called the light, what? Yawam. So light is called what they call day, but it's called Yawam. It's a hand, it's a hook, and it's water. So the power of the Most High, okay, the power of the Most High is planted in the waters, which goes into the last letter. Yad is hand, which represents power. Wawa is a hook that represents something being planted, or a peg or a stake, something being, what's another word? Something being stationary, planted somewhere. The last letter of the day, of the word Yawam for the word day is Mayam. Mayam literally means water. So within the waters, we see the hand and we see something being planted. This is the light. It never changes. It never changes. So Yawam, which is what they call light. Now remember though, this is a piece. That last letter on the Hebrew word for day, which is Yawam, tells us, Silayah, Israel, hello. That last letter tells us that there's going to be what? Movement in the waters. You see? I'm going to give you an example. Ama, the word move, Ama or Am, is an ox and water. Alap Mayam. So the ox goes into the woman, which is the man, and he puts water in the woman, which is the semen. And the child grows in the amniotic fluid, right, inside the womb. And when a woman is about to give birth, it says what? Her water broke. You see, the water broke. That's the mother. And then baby said, what? I can feel the baby what? Move. So the mother is about movement and growth and power and strength also. She has to be strong to push out that baby through that little exit that the Most High put on her body. And it grows inside of her. And it's covered in the same mayam. It's covered in the same liquid. Okay? So Yahweh Shai, the Alahayim, they call the light. At this point, all of the light in the universe, all of the light in the universe is called Yawam. But we have different types of Yawam, which we're going to go into also. So we have to pay very careful attention to these words. Share this with people that believe on the new moon Sabbath, even though it's false. Share this with people that believe that the Sabbath starts at noonday or at sunup, because that's false. Understanding this lets you see whether your doctrine lines up to the Bible, to the Genesis. It has to. If it doesn't, you got to throw it away. All right. So Alahayim called the day Yawam. Read.
And the darkness he called night.
Okay, why? Lakashak, and to the darkness, Quada'a la yala. So the darkness was called night. So the darkness was called night. Let me give you an example about the whole difference between the day and the day and the light. If you make a fist right now, the inside of your fist is chashak. It is darkness, but it's not the darkness of the night, la yala. So it's an energy, it's a force that's void of light. And that force that's void of light is called chashak. It's called chashak. When that force of darkness is a component in time, it's called la yala. I hope you understand what I'm saying. All right. Like I said, I'm not trying to get too deep with this Genesis, but you have to understand this to know about when the new moon really is and when the holy days really fall and when does the day really start. Okay. All right, go ahead.
And the evening and the morning.
All right, stop right there. The evening. The evening and the morning. What is the evening? The evening is when we have the darkness falling upon the earth. When we look in the Bible, there's 3 phases to the evening. There's 3 phases to the evening, and even those phases can be broken down into phases. Okay, evening is when everything starts to become even, when you have light and dark on both sides and they kind of merge together. That's called the evening. When it's light outside, and then you see, so the darkness, the depths of the darkness of the day is the last part of the evening. That's the last part of the evening. So it says the evening and the what? And the morning, which is the bakwar, which is the light. So now we have so many different things. We have the evening, which is the darkness, which is being associated with la yala, which is night, which is associated with kashak, which is the darkness. And then we have the morning, which is associated with the day, okay, which is associated with the light. So the evening and the morning, the bakwar, which is the morning, bakwar. The evening and the morning, what?
Were the first day.
So the first day had 2 parts. darkness and light, evening and morning. So what happens when the morning comes? The morning comes, it's bright, 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 the sun. Then the sun starts to fall. When the sun starts to fall, that's when we go back, that's when we go toward evening again. So the whole day has to consist of an initial period of darkness, and then it continues in darkness, and then the sun comes up. Once the sun comes up, it's still the day, but the day begins with the evening. It begins with the darkness. So once the sun comes up, it's still the day. So notice what just happened. The evening and the morning are a day, but the light of the day is also called day. Day what? They call it daylight. Okay, it says Awar, which means light of the day or daylight. So we have the light of the day, and then we have the evening and morning day. So we have two different kinds of days that we see already from the beginning in Genesis chapter 1, verse 5. We didn't even get deep into Genesis yet, and we see two kinds of days. All right, read verse 5 again.
And Elohim called the light day.
So the light itself was called day. So the light of the day was called day. Read.
And the darkness he called night.
So the darkness was called the night. Read.
And the evening and the morning.
So the evening, which pertains to the darkness, and the morning, which pertains to the light, he called what?
Were the first day.
Were the first day. So the first day consisted of darkness and light, consisted of evening and morning. You see? So we know that the evening goes into the darkness, which is the beginning of the day. And then we see that when the sun comes up, we have the daylight or the light of day, according to Genesis 1 and 5. So we have Genesis 1 and 5 talks about the light of day, which is still part of the same day from when the evening started and when the night started. When the sun comes up, daylight, light of day. Then it just starts to go down. What do we have? The evening. And once the evening is over, that's the darkness. Now we're concluding one day, and we actually starting on, another day. So that's simple. It's clear to see. So we can't say that the day starts when the sun comes up, or the day starts at 12 in the afternoon, or the day starts at midnight. The day starts when the evening comes in, and the evening goes into what? Night. Okay? So we have 2 days, 2 things that we call day in Hebrew. The one thing we call day is the light. All right, the light. Now remember, this initial light and darkness, day and night, was in the whole universe. Yahweh encapsulated it and made it relevant to our space where we live at. And this is without the sun. So before we have the sun, we already have Irab, evening, and we have Bakwar, morning. We already have Yawam, day, light, and then we have Layala, okay, Chashak, darkness. So this is in the whole universe. So then what Yahweh does, he says, okay, now this evening and the morning, this darkness and this light, we're going to put them together, and we're going to call that Yom or Yawam also. Okay? So the day didn't start with the day didn't start, Salaklia. The day didn't start with the sun coming up. The day started with the darkness, and the day started with the evening. So the evening and the morning were the first day. All right. So now with the evening and the morning, first day. And then when we finish the morning, we go back into a phase of evening. And evening has 3 phases. That's why when you look at in the Bible, evening has 3 phases that you can see in the Bible. And I'm going to do another lesson on that. But evening, when you read the scriptures, has three phases also. You see in the scriptures, it's clear. All right. So scientifically, you have a civil twilight, and you have a astronomical twilight, and you have the nautical twilight. Now, which is darker? All right. So you have the nautical, you have the evening nautical, you have the evening astronomical, and you have the evening civil. So these are three. Now study those three evenings. Okay. You study those three evenings, and it will tell you, that the Bible is correct. Okay, but they call it twilight. Okay, they call it twilight. Okay. So nautical twilight is the second twilight phase, right? Which means the last one is what? Astronomical. Okay. Nautical is the second twilight phase. First one is civil. Okay. Then the next one is nautical. So a CNA. Civil, nautical, astronomical. Okay. So it's CNA. Civil, nautical, astronomical. Now, Genesis can go into that from right here, but it can get a little more it can get a little deeper once you go into the other books of the Bible. All right. So like I said, we've only been in this lesson from Genesis for 27 minutes, and we're only in verse 5. And that's how important it is. I'm not even, like I said, we're not even going into other books yet. We strictly in the Torah. But you have to understand it, because there's a lot of men that don't understand the Torah. And that's what makes them get puffed up in their knowledge, and they start to teach false doctrines that the Torah does not support. All right, go ahead. Read verse 6.
And Elohim said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters."
So a firmament in the midst of the waters. Okay. What waters? The waters of where we live at. All right. Because remember, he already said the spirit was moving upon the waters. All right. So now he said, what? Let there be a firmament. Okay. Go ahead.
And let it divide the waters from the waters.
So this firmament divides the different atmospheres outside of Aratazah earth and inside of Aratazah earth. These are the different element and layers that the Most High put up there. Okay. For radio and things like that. Radio waves can go up there so high. And these are things that are just, different layers that the Most High put within the atmosphere. Okay. With actually they call them atmospheres. All right. Go ahead.
And Elohim made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. So
this is going around our earth. Okay. Talking about the that what they call in school, they talk about the ionospheres and things of that nature, the ozone layer, things of that nature. That's what this is talking about. All right, go ahead.
And it was so.
Uh-huh.
And Elohim called the firmament heaven.
So the firmament, once again, was called what?
Heaven.
So now we got a different kind of heaven. So now we got a firmament that's called Shemayim, of the waters, but it divides the waters. Go ahead.
And the evening and the morning were the second day.
So once again, evening and morning for the first day. So now the first thing we see happen is this thing is protected. We have the firmament being divided. All right. So now the evening and the morning again. So he's still light and darkness are still a part of this process. So the evening was the first part of the second day. Okay. And the morning was the second part of the second day. So you always going to have evening and morning, beginning with evening, with the darkness, and ending with the morning. So once the morning is over, when I say morning, we're talking about Bakwar. We're going into when the sun starts to set and things of that nature. The morning is done. The light is gone. The light is gone. And once the light is gone, then we have day and night. But the night is related to the evening, and the day is related to the morning. So it goes from the morning, then from the morning it goes into just daylight in general. And once the day is over, now we get into the evening, and the darkness comes, and we begin another day. Go ahead.
And Elohim said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place."
So the primordial elements of creation, all right? The primordial elements of creation were scattered, but it's all within this kind of, let's say, bubble right now. It's in this bubble. So inside of this bubble, all right, the Most High gathers all of the hydrogen and the oxygen, things of that nature, together into a mass. Because everything's just scattered around, so he brings everything together. All right, go ahead.
And let the dry land appear. And
Okay.
it was so.
So he gathered them beneath the heaven in one area. And then the gold, silver, iron, copper, the aluminum, just dirt itself, dust, all these things were around in the universe. And the Most High brought everything together inside of this firmament into one mass. That's what we see just happening. He brought everything together into one mass now. So we have a big mass of every element that we know of, all right, on the periodic table of elements. We have all those elements coming to us into a big ball, so to speak. It's all gathered together. Okay. So it says let the dry land appear, which is Yabashah. Go ahead.
And it was so.
Go ahead.
And Elohim called the dry land earth.
So the dry land was called Aratzah. When you look at that word earth, you see the E, A, the R, T, and the H. Now, A is the EA. The Ra is the R sound. And then the T or TH is the TZ sound from Eretz or Aratzah. So the word earth itself comes from the Hebrew word Aratzah, which is also called Eretz. Or you can say Aratz. Aratz, art, Aratz, art, earth. Okay? That's a Hebrew word because you got the geo, okay? You got geo, okay, which is usually what they call it, coming from the Greek. And then you got the terra in the Latin, which means sand or means soil. But we don't see, even from terra, you can still see Aratzah in that. But earth itself, the etymology of earth goes back to Hebrew, not Latin and not Greek and not Sanskrit. All right. So the dry land was called earth. Go ahead.
And the gathering together of the waters called Heed seas.
Which is Yamayim, which just kind of means waters. All right. So now we have a mass. This is what people will call Pangea, which Pan means all and Gea means land or earth. So all earth, so one mass. This was the condition of our planet before the Most High divided the nations in the time of Peleg. When you read in Genesis chapter 10, Peleg's time is when the time of Eber. And then when the land was divided, Eber called his son Peleg or Peleg, which means division. So now the earth is one mass right now, which people call Pangea, right? But it's called earth, all right? So with earth, he gathered everything together, and then the seas and the earth, what happened? Read.
And Elohim saw that it was good.
And Elohim saw. Wayada Alahayim Kaya Tov Kaya Towab. So Alahayim saw that it was good. So he said, okay, the earth and the waters, everything's good. So we got to keep everything in its good state. We can't be polluting and making stuff dirty and disrespecting and doing evil things that's going to harm the waters and harm the earth. It was good. Let's keep it that way. Even though this kingdom we in now, the so-called white man is ruling, he's polluted the whole everything. Anything he can pollute, anything that exists, this man's polluted. Man. All right? Go ahead.
And Elohim said, let the earth bring forth grass.
So now, this is before the sun. So before the sun, the earth was bringing forth vegetation, reading.
The herb yielding seed.
So the ishab, the herb that had a seed in it. So this is talking about the little herbage, little plants. Make them come forth and let them have seeds in them also. Read.
And the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself.
So all the things he created had seeds in them. Read.
Upon the earth, and it was so. And the earth brought forth grass.
So the earth brought forth the grass.
And herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself, after his kind. And Elohim saw it was good.
So now Elohim saw that it was good. So now we have the trees, flowers, okay, plants, different herbs being created. Now, the thing we have to understand is that when we read the Bible in 2nd Ezra, as soon as the Most High said for these things to come into existence, they came into existence. Everything didn't start out as a seed. It didn't start out as a guanacaste, or it didn't start out as a oak tree, a little small oak, seedling. No, the oak trees came into creation immediately. Trees, mature plants, okay, mature flowers. Everything came into existence immediately. All right. When he said, "Let there be these things," they were created immediately with seeds. Okay. Go ahead.
And the evening and the morning were the third day.
So this happened in the third day. So now let's look back. That this is also, showing you us. Why? Because our bodies mainly consist of liquid and water. The earth mainly consists of liquid and water. So your diet should mainly consist of liquid or things that are higher in liquid, if that's what you're going to be eating, things that have liquid, or water or liquid itself, followed by vegetation. This is just a general practice that we see from creation, the importance. He created the waters, had the waters on the earth, and then from the earth, the seeds and things like that grow, plants and everything grow. So we should be consuming things that grow from the earth in our diet, and we should be consuming water also in our diet. Okay, next we're going to see the fish and the birds. And then after that, we're going to see the land creatures. And that's, according to just a basic normal person needs to be consuming, so much water per day. And then so much green things, vegetation, vegetables per day. And then so much, soft animal life, meaning chicken, and birds and things of that nature. Crickets, if you can, locusts. And then after that, then you get into the different red meats. Okay, the lamb, the goat, the beef, buffalo and bison. These things are lawful for us to eat. All right. So now we're getting into the Most High is making these different things for us to eat, the creatures, but he hasn't made them yet. So now with the plants, okay, these plants have seeds in us, but every plant he created isn't to be eaten. Every plant he created isn't for human consumption. You see? So we only in talking about the book of Genesis. So now we already see that he made the water. And then from the water, we see now he made the plant life. So your vegetables and your herbs that you eat, I ain't talking about smoking nothing. Your herbs and your plants and things of that nature are a very important part, of your intake. You have to take these things in a little more than you take in flesh. You can eat flesh. You can eat fish, beef, lamb. You can eat locusts if you want to. You can even eat eat chicken and turkey. Chicken is not unlawful. Grouse is not unlawful. Turkey is not unlawful. You can eat all these things, all right? But they shouldn't be the primary what you're eating on a regular basis. All right, go ahead.
And Elohim said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens."
So now we're in what? Now we're in Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. So let there be what?
Let there be lights in the firmament.
So we see lights. Okay, when you see light, it says ma'araf, lights. Those things that are bright. In the what? Go ahead.
In the firmament of the heaven.
Okay. So now within the firmament of the heaven, in the higher spheres, okay, he created other lights. So these other lights are partaking of that light that was initially given into the universe, which lit up everything. Now, these lights that he's creating now are different than the other stars, the sun and the moon and the planets and things of that nature. These lights that he's creating right now are the constellations that he arranged in a circular pattern around where the earth is at to be used as a clock to let us know what time we're living in and where we are. There's a story to these constellations. A lot of people call them the zodiac, but the zodiac is not to be used for telling the future or telling your fortune and things of that nature. The zodiac is to be used for timekeeping purposes. That's it. Okay? So the scripture says that he put lights in the firmament of Shemayim. All right? So it's lights in the Shemayim. Remember, Shemayim means of the waters of that which is the waters, which means the heavens. So the heavens is composed of elements that the Most High called waters. All right? So put them in the firmament of the heaven. Go ahead.
To divide the day from the night.
You see that? To divide what?
The day from the night.
Now the day and the night are divided. Now that's why the last part of the evening, like I said earlier, is called the astronomical twilight. You have the civil twilight, which is when it gets a little dark. Okay. Then you have the civil twilight, which most people say, okay, the civil day is over. It's about to be over at least. Then you have the nautical after that. Okay, which means if you're in the waters, you might be able to see a little bit of the sun on the horizon. Then you have astronomical, when all you can see on the waters would be just the stars in the sky. You're not going to see no light from the sun. Okay, so that's how we measure it. So here we see the Most High is separating these luminaries, which is the stars of the constellations, not all of the stars. We're talking about the 12 constellations that people talk about. Aries, Taurus, Gemini, these things. But remember, we ain't talking about these things reading from your newspaper saying this is a good day for you. We ain't talking about all that witchcraft. We're talking about just for the purpose that the Most High shows us that he created these images in the sky. He's going to show us what they're for. All right. So they primarily are separating the day and the night. Now remember, we have the two kinds of days. The first day that was created is the day which was the bright light. And then we have the night, which was the darkness. But remember, both of these together make up the morning and the evening. And the evening is when the day starts. So then the morning comes once again. And when the morning comes, the morning is also called the light of the day, which is daylight. And then when it starts to get dark again, we have a new day starting at the evening once again. So we want to make that abundantly clear as we continue in Genesis, that the day starts with the darkness of the evening. And then it continues with the morning. All right. And then the morning starts to fall, noon, or, solar midday, when it's at its brightest and hottest point of its movement. And then it begins to fall down, and that's when we have the evening. And then we have the last part of the evening, which is called the astronomical twilight. That's when we begin a new day, when it's totally pitch black outside. Okay? So now, the lights of the firmament, which is called the constellations also, okay? They divide the day from the night. So once the night comes in, now we see, okay, the sun goes down. Okay, now I can see the lights on the horizon over there. Until we see the lights on the horizon over there, we're not in a new day. So the sun got to be completely down. And that's what the stars are up there for, the constellations, rather. Once we can see the constellations clearly, even if, we know sometimes they're going to be obstructed because of clouds and things of that nature. Shalom, I don't know if it's Cortez or Tam. Well, Shalom, hallelujah. So once we can see the constellations clearly with no obstruction, primarily the constellation which is on the opposite side from where the sunset was, because that's the one that's going to be usually the brightest in the sky. All right. Because it's the furthest away from where the sun set at, which is going to be usually going toward westerly. Sometimes it can be slightly, westerly going toward, the north, like kind of northwestern, and sometimes it can be kind of southwestern. All right. So he put these in the sky, these constellations. Once again, we're talking about the ones what you call a horoscope, but these horoscopes were not put in the sky for you to be practicing witchcraft on what you should do on what day. The horoscope, the thing that people call the horoscopes and the zodiac, was put up there to divide the day from the night and to let you know what's going on in terms of the time, the day, the year, things of that nature is what it was put up there for. It wasn't put up there for you to look at and say, oh, this is a good day to get my to start a new relationship, or this is a good day for me to to solve all the problems I got for this week. It wasn't put up there for that. It was put up there for the purpose of time, to serve us in a capacity of letting us see things that we need to be aware of with worship and counting our days. Because remember, if you don't know your days in Hebrew, your worship is going to be off, because you're not going to be keeping things holy that are supposed to be holy. And that means you can't have the indwelling of the Holy Spirit, because you're sinning when you break these holy days. So Yahweh said that the Holy Spirit will not enter into a body that's subject to sin. So now to stop sinning, you got to know when these days begin and end. All right. So with these lights in the firmament to divide the day from the night. Remember, we have two types of days. The day that is dividing is the light from the darkness. But we already know that once the darkness starts to come in, which is the evening, that begins a new day. All right, read. Let them be for to divide. Go ahead.
And let them be for signs.
Let them be for signs, which is athaf. These are signs, things that are planted in the sky, marks to show us that we need to be ready for something that's coming up. These festivals and these feasts. So when the sun goes into the first constellation, which is so-called Aries, when it lines up, when the sun and the moon line up, and then after they line up, the sun is going to be in Aries, that's when we begin the new year. It ain't got nothing to do with the Book of Enoch and the equinox and things of that nature. It got to do with the first constellation, which is Aries. We see right here that he put these lights in the firmament to be for signs and for the day and divide the night. So this is time. So it has nothing to do with when the earth is tilted toward or away from or straight up. This is when we begin our year. That's false. That's idolatry. That's witchcraft, and it's Babylonian. That's what the Babylonians did. The Hebrews never did that. We just, okay, it's in the sun's going to be in the first constellation. The moon has passed in front of the sun. Okay, this is the new month and a new year now. It's in Aries. The sun's going to be in Aries now. That's when we begin the new year. All right, go ahead. That's going to be for signs. Go ahead.
For seasons.
For seasons. What the word seasons here means festivals. In the Hebrew. He's reading the English, and I'm looking at the Hebrew. Moedim, holy days. It says wa la mawaidyam, which means moedim, which means the appointed times and seasons to celebrate and worship. So you may think to yourself, what do the constellations have to do with how we keep the holy days and when we worship? Because the year starts off with Passover, and Passover happens when the sun passes into the first constellations. When the moon is making her rotation through the 12 constellations, it passes in front of the sun first. And then the sun then goes or may already be into Aries. Once it gets into Aries, the first constellation, we know that we're in the month of the first Moed, the first of the Moedim, the first of the Mawaidyam, the first of the festivals and the feast days. But if you don't know that, and you're looking at some book of Enoch, and you're looking for the equinox ain't got nothing to do with the constellations, because the equinox can happen within the first or the second constellation. And it's about the sun. You see, the equinox is heliocentric. The month is lunar-centric. And it's based on when the sun and the moon line up for what's called the inferior conjunction. Inferior means it's small and it's close. Conjunction means with, and injunction means together. So when the sun and the moon are together and close, that's what we call the inferior conjunction, also known as the new moon, also known in Hebrew as the Chadash or the Kodesh. Not the white moon when it's superior, when it's superior conjunction, when it's away from the sun, but inferior when it's close to the sun, inferior conjunction. All right, so the inferior conjunction. So these constellations in Genesis chapter 1 verse 14, that's what determines how, that's like the numbers on the clock 1 through 12. First constellation is from 12 to 1. Okay, that's going to be the new year. That's what it's there for. That's what the Most High is showing us right here. That's what the constellations are for. That's the lights in the firmament from Genesis 1:14. Now, afterwards, he made the sun, the moon, and stars. Kawakal. All right. But these right here are Ma'arath. Ma'arath ba rakwayai. All right, lights in the firmament. That's what we call these. Now, you might argue and say, well, they are stars or they aren't stars. Okay, but they're called something different. So these are not regular stars, if you want to call them stars. These are lights in the firmament. Okay, these are Ma'arath, Ba meaning in, Rakwayai, the firmament. Okay, Rakwayai, or you can say Rakwayai if you want, however you want to pronounce it. We just know what the letters look like, so we're on the same page. So lights in the firmament. And if you don't know these things, your whole worship is going to be off. And Yahweh wants to be worshipped the way he wants to be worshipped. Not according to what we say or what the book of Enoch says, but according to what he shows us in Genesis chapter 1. That's why it's so important to start right here when you're dealing with new moon, Sabbath, because he shows us everything in Genesis. Because this is the beginning of time as we know it, Parashyath. First day, second day, he counts the days. He made the light and separated and divided the light from the darkness, from between the lights and between the darkness. That's what the scripture says. So he had two divisions. He had two divisions because it's a cycle. So you have, light division, darkness division, then you have light again. And once again, we show that division is called Tazalal in Hebrew. Tazalal in Hebrew. That's what that division is called, where it's like a buffer zone. You know it as dusk and dawn. And these are energies, these are spirits that the Most High put out there in the universe, in the world, that obey him. All right? Light is something he created. It has force in it. Darkness is something that he created also. It has a force in it. And these forces obey him, and they do their job. All right? It's energy. All right? It's energy. That's why, you look at what? Electricity, light in the sky, fire. They burn you. It's energy. It interacts with your body, and you can feel it, but you can't explain it or make it. You're only bringing things together. When you rub two lights together, when you rub the cables together, when you jump in the car, you get that spark. Where's the spark coming from? Because them elements on a negative and positive post coming together. And when they come together, they make that explosion. And you're going to die if you hold both of them together, right? You're going to die because that energy going through your body. That's the light and the dark coming together, the positive and the negative coming together. You see, this is negative and positive coming together. So now the Torah is all about separating the darkness and the light and making the light come forward through the Torah and through Hamashiach, because he is the what of the world. He's the light of the world. And the darkness hates him. And if you're in the darkness, you hate him. Okay? Go ahead. Let them be for signs. And what's the next word after signs?
And for seasons.
Now, when it says seasons right here, this is the same word we see when we go into Genesis chapter 23 about the feast. These are the feasts of the Lord. It says Mawa'idiyam. Excuse me for saying Lord. These are the feasts of Yahweh. These are the feasts of Yahweh. It's the same word. Festivals, feast, which is Wala Mawa'idiyam or Mawa'idiyam or Moedim is what it says right here. These are the Moedim, the appointed seasons, the appointed times, right? Appointed what? Appointed times. So he's showing us that your appointed times need to line up with the lights of the firmament, not on the axis of the earth compared to the sun. That's the lie from Satan that the book of Enoch teaches you, which shows you that the book of Enoch is garbage. A lot of y'all not going to like me when I make that statement, but we see right here, Yahweh tells us what we're supposed to be using to get our signs, to get our feasts, and to get our what?
Seasons.
And to get our seasons and what?
And days.
And days. Wala Yamayim. Okay? So, the days. Okay? The days. And what?
And years.
Okay, now read verse 14 over again.
And Elohim said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days and years.
Okay. For signs, seasons, days, and years. So Yah Mayam, or you say Yom, that's the plural of day, is Yamayam. And waters is going to be Mayam, Hamayam. So the difference between the waters and the days, that's showing that the days are about a movement within the waters. Okay, because that's the plural for day, is Yayim. So the lights in the firmament are for the days. What days? Holy days. Every day. And also for days and for what?
And years.
Which is Shania. Which is years. So it's for the years also. So how can you say the book of Enoch is supposed to be what we use to determine when the year starts when the Bible says that these lights in the firmament are what we're supposed to be using? Who you going to believe? What I'm teaching, according to the Bible, and what Yahweh showed us in the Bible, is that you have to look at the constellations that the new moon happens in, which is the black moon, and you got to look at the constellation that it's in to determine if you in the month that starts the new year or not. But the book of Enoch people, they just say, oh, it's March 22nd, March 21st is when it's in the first constellation, is when it's going to be the spring equinox. And that's when we say it. That's when we got to start it, at the equinox. But the Bible never says that. The Bible says it's dealing with the lights in the firmament. Now, what equinox deals with the lights in the firmament? The equinox deals with the earth and the sun. But the sun is not the light in the firmament that is talking about. Why? Because the sun ain't been created yet. The sun don't get created until the next verse. The sun don't get created. The sun don't get created until verse 16. The sun ain't been created yet. So now we got what? We got three kinds of lights, right? We got the lights of creation. We got the light of the day. And now we have the light of what? The light of the firmaments. The lights in the heavens. Ma'arath. Ma'arath ba. Okay? That's what we have now. The lights in the firmament. So these lights in the firmament separate day and night. So he's showing you right there. He's showing you right there that these things are permanent fixtures that are going to be the same every day, because it divides the day and the night. It shows you, when you have to keep your festivals. It shows you begin your years. So if you talk about the new year, your new year got to line up with the constellation in some kind of way, which the first constellation is when we began the new year, which is so-called Aries. Okay. Now let's go to verse 15.
And let them be for lights in the firmament.
So let them serve as lights. Ma'awarath. Lights in the firmament. Go ahead.
Of the heaven, to give light upon the earth. And it was so.
So they shine in the heavens and they give light upon the earth. So they let us know and see where we are in the year, what we need to be doing, because they're up there to be signs. That's why they call them zodiac signs. But that zodiac signs and the constellations ain't supposed to be for witchcraft and telling the future. It's only supposed to be for time. That's it. Time and when we begin our months and count the days, and count the years. That's it. That's the only thing you see. Let them be for signs, festivals, days, years, and to serve as lights in the firmament of the heaven to shine upon the earth. To separate between what? The day and the night. Now, when we go into verse 16, we're going to see other lights being created. Let's go into verse 16. Read.
And Yahweh made two great lights.
So now Yahweh made two lights. See, the first ones are many. So he just calls them luminaries. He just calls them ma'arath. Just calls them lights. So now when we go into verse 16, it says he made Shanayah ma'arath. Okay. He made two distinct, as opposed to just a whole bunch of them we see with the constellations. Now these are two distinct luminaries in addition to what was created in verse 14. This is an additional creation. Read again.
And Elohim made two great lights.
Mm-hmm.
The greater light to rule the day.
So the greater light, okay. The greater light, okay. The greater light, which it says, Ma'awar ha gadal. So it's greater. It's bigger. Go ahead. The greater light to what?
To rule the day.
It says La Mamashalath ha Yawam. What part of the day? The light part of the day. All right, go ahead.
And the lesser light to rule the night.
And the lesser light, Ma'araf HaQuatan, okay, the little light, to what?
To rule the night.
To have dominion over the night. What is this? What's the light at night? Is the moon. What's the light at the daytime? Is the sun. Ha-Shamash. Okay? Ha-Shamash. But these don't determine the years. The position they pass through the constellation. It's the constellation that actually tell us where we are in space and whether or not we begin a new year now. That's what actually does is the constellation. Now the moon lets us know the months and the festivals and the feast days, but the moon has to be lined up inside the constellations also. Okay? So the greater light is the sun, Shamash, and the lesser light is the moon, Yalak. Okay, go ahead.
He made the stars also.
Now he made other stars and lights all around the skies also. So now we have different types of lights in the sky. We got the constellations, which is called the main lights in the firmament. All right. Then we have the sun and the moon, and then we have the stars. So that's what we have in creation so far. So now later on, we see that the moon lining up with the sun lets us know when we begin to count our months. When we begin to count, this is the beginning of the month, when it's black. Now, when he made the sun bright with light. When he made the moon with light also. Go and look at the book of 2nd Ezra. Okay? I believe 2nd Ezra chapter 4 shows you that when he created everything, all right, there was all kinds of light and brightness, okay, at the creation. Second Ezra's, I'll tell you where it is. Actually, I think it is 6. Yeah, 2nd Ezra chapter 6. Salaka. It's 2nd Ezra chapter 6. You can read that. Okay, I'm looking at it. I'll just read it. Okay. Upon the 4th day, thou commandest that the sun should shine, and the moon give her light, and the stars should be in order. Okay. So that's the 2nd day. That's the 4th day. All right. So the sun, the moon, and the stars. But now you have different kinds of stars, the stars of the Kawakab, and then the stars of the constellation, which is the first ones that he created, that are used to determine, let us know when the year is, when the day and the evening, the day and the night are divided, and also to tell us, when we have to begin the feast days, the Mawa'ayim or the Moedim. So you really have to understand and pay attention to this. And that's why when I tell you when a month is, when a new moon is, and things of that nature, I'm telling you based on the paradigm or the requirements that the Most High tells us we have to use to make these calculations. All right. Go to verse 17 now.
And Elohim set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth.
All of them give light upon the earth, but the main ones, which for time, are the constellations, what the people call the zodiac, for timekeeping purposes, not for telling a person's personal history or their future or nothing like that. Go ahead.
And to rule over the day and over the night.
Now all of them have something to do with the day and the night. Go ahead.
And to divide the light from the darkness.
Now all of them have something to do with dividing light from the darkness. You see that? But all of them don't have nothing to do with being a primary backdrop for what's happening with the years and for the feast days and for counting the days. Okay, read.
And Elohim saw that it was good.
Mm-hmm.
And the evening and the morning were the fourth day.
So this is all happening on the fourth day. So now when the moon was created on the fourth day, the next periods of day and night, 3 other periods passed before he said the Sabbath. So the Sabbath wasn't counted by how old the moon was. The Sabbath was counted by the days, evening and morning. All right. And on the 7th evening, that's when we began the 7th day, the holy Shabbat of rest of Yahweh, the holy Shabbat of Yahweh. And if you let the Babylonians trick you into thinking that you count the Sabbath by the moon, then you're not worthy of Hamashiach. I'll tell you like that. Or I'm going to tell you just like it is. I'm going to sugarcoat nothing. If you're following after a new moon Sabbath, you're being led by the Babylonian demons, because that's what the Babylonians did. If you're following the new year from the equinox, you're following Babylonian demons, because that's what the Babylonians did. But because you don't want to read the Torah, you don't want to humble yourself unto Yahweh, you don't understand what's going on. And you're looking all around, because the Most High ain't giving you, showing you, or telling you, because you ain't into him. You into something else. When you're obedient to him, fully obedient, then the Most High shows you. All right, but as long as you're making excuses, as long as you're eating at these places where they serve unclean foods, you polluting the Sabbath, you letting your woman rule over you. Okay? She the one that's bossing you around, you up under her. As long as you working on the Sabbath, trying to make excuses, as long as you're trying to work on the new moons, and you dressing like a Babylonian, you dress like an American, you don't got no fringes, no border of blues, and that's a whole nother lie that people are teaching against wearing border of blue and fringes on your clothes. Now the border of blue is talking about a little string around the hem. And if you got the border of blue, it ain't supposed to be blue, it's supposed to be violet. And all this is madness and foolishness, because the people are not returning and looking for the old path from the scriptures, like Jeremiah 6:16 tells us to do. The path is right here in the Torah. And you research the Torah and you look in the world that the Torah draws for you, and the Torah in the world will show you this is what was done, this is how. But we don't understand that concept or how to do that, because we ain't sincere. Our temple is being polluted. Our minds and hearts are being polluted. So in order to have the proper doctrine about time and the weeks and the months and about the Sabbath and the new moons, you got to be fully sold out to Hamashiach Yahweh first. Then he shows you and leads you and gives you the understanding. You can show it in the Bible. How do I know that? Because that's what he did for me. This is not just something academic. This is a spiritual walk where there's a spiritual understanding that comes from reading the word of the Most High. Not just study, but really being led by the Spirit while you're studying to get a bigger, clearer, indisputable understanding. Generally, from the Bible. And a lot of people don't have that, but they're out there trying to teach the Bible. And all they're doing is giving an academic, carnal approach of understanding from the scriptures. Okay? Because the so-called white man calls himself a Jew, he can talk about the Torah all day. But at the end of the day, he ain't really keeping it. There's a lot of things that he does and allows in his little synagogue that's against the Torah. I'm not going to get into them right now. But they do unclean things on the Sabbath day. And they allow you to come into their little synagogues and worship with them on the Sabbath day. You see? They change the dates of the Bible and holy days to suit their own convenience. You see? So they ain't got all the answers. The answers are going to come through Jacob, Yaquah, which is us. But how are we going to get the answers about obedience when we ain't walking in the Torah or fully submitting ourselves to Yahweh Hamashiach? If you got doubts, if you got, a lot of question marks, if you don't understand, if you're confused, It's because you ain't let Yahweh Shai HaMashiach into your heart, man. Once you let him into your heart, say, yo, just take me, use me, show me. I submit my total self to you. I surrender all. Once you say that, man, the confusion leaves you because he's not the author of confusion. But with that clarity comes humility. And then you can share what you see and have been shown by him to other people. And you make it known, hey, this comes from understanding him, following him, trusting him, believing in him, knowing that he is the Lord. Yahweh Shai is the one of our lives, of our existences right now. And once we do that, now we can understand the calendars better. But once again, it says that when he created the moon was created shining with light. So 3 days later, we kept the Sabbath. Now, somebody want to say, "Oh no, but go to Amos, go to Isaiah, go to Ezekiel." Nah, excuse my language. We can stay right here, nigga. If you can't prove from right here, I don't want to go to no other book. Prove it from here. Prove it from here. All right, we right here. Prove from the scripture. We in Genesis. If you can't show me in Genesis, man, I'm gonna go to some other book. Because when you show me from Genesis, that shows me that you got the full picture. You got the full panoramic view of the elements, of the light, of the planets, of the constellations, of the celestial bodies, and how they all work together. All right. We in verse 15 now? Oh, hey, Salakli. Yeah, we read a lot. Okay, verse 20. Go ahead.
And Elohim said, "Let the waters bring forth abundantly."
So let the waters swarm together. Okay. Yasharat Zawa. Let them swarm together. So now the elements in the water are coming together to make crawling creatures. Go ahead.
The moving creature that hath life, and fowl that may fly.
So now the birds and the fish both came out of the waters. Go ahead.
That may fly above the heaven in the open firmament of heaven. And Elohim created great whales and every living creature.
So sea giants, things in the sea. Okay. And every living creature, go ahead.
That moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind.
Okay.
And every winged fowl.
Every winged fowl, which is kanap, which is a wing. So the birds also came out the waters. Birds and the fish came out the waters. Because the fish have what? Fins. And the birds have what? Have wings. They're coming from the same place. But they all came from the waters. Go ahead.
And Elohim saw that it was good.
Mm-hmm.
And Elohim blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply.
Go ahead.
And fill the waters in the seas.
Mm-hmm.
And let the fowl multiply in the earth."
Okay.
And the evening and the morning were the fifth day.
So the evening and the morning were the fifth day. This is one day after the moon was created. So the Sabbath was counted from day one, not from when the moon was created. So you don't count the Sabbath by the moon. You count the Sabbath by the days. 7 days. That's it. So on that day number 5, he made the sea creatures. Some of them we can eat. Some of them we can't eat. And he made the birds. Some of the birds we can eat. Some of the birds we cannot eat. All right, go ahead.
And Elohim said,
What verse you in?
Verse 24.
All right, Genesis 1:24. Read.
Let the earth bring forth the living creature.
Now we got other animals being created. Go ahead.
After his kind. Cattle and creeping things.
So cattle. Okay. Which is Bahama. And creeping things. Go ahead.
And beast of the earth after his kind.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so. And Elohim made the beast of the earth after his kind,
mm-hmm.
and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind.
Mm-hmm.
And Elohim saw that it was good.
So it was good. So this is when everything that is a land creature was created, that doesn't come from the waters, was created. Okay. Horses, dogs, cats, cows, bugs, all these things were created. Okay, different kinds of bugs. All right, go ahead.
And Elohim said,
so you in Genesis 1:26, right?
Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth.
So this is the creation of, Scripture says, Adam. All right, Adam. Go ahead.
So Elohim created man in his own image, and in the image of Elohim he created him. Created he him. Male and female created he them. And Elohim blessed them. And Elohim said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth.
So this is the creation of man in general, you want to say. Let's say man, Adam, in general, in multiplicity. Male and females were created, and they were commanded to fill up Pangea, this one mass of earth. They were created to fill it up. They were created to fill the whole earth. All right? They were created at this time. So this is talking about Adam and Chawa, or Adam and Eve. This is talking about Adam in general. All right? The male and the female. The Zakar and the Zakwaba. Okay, I'm sorry, Nakwaba. All right, so this is talking about the creation of humanoids in general. All right, humanoids in general. All right, go ahead.
And Elohim said, Behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree, and the which is the fruit of a tree.
So I've given you all of the things that grow upon the earth. Go ahead.
Of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat, and to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so. And
so I've given every green herb for food. La akala. Wa Yahya Khan, and it was so. So right here now we don't see no talk of a tree of the knowledge of good and evil. We see everything was given to you. Because this is not the special creation time yet of Adam and Chawa. This is Adam, man in general. And that's what I keep saying. This is just man, Adam. The scripture says it's Adam. But then it says with Adam, it says he Bara'ah. Adam, the male, and Bara'ah, the female. Okay. All right, go ahead.
And Elohim saw,
what verse you in?
Verse 31.
Genesis 1:31.
And Elohim saw everything that he made, and behold, it was very good.
Okay.
And in the evening,
there was evening. Go ahead.
And the morning.
And there was morning again. Go ahead.
For the sixth day.
Yawam HaShashia, or Shishi, they would say. So the sixth day, he made he made male and female of Adam. So that's what you call the Adamium, the Adamites. So he made Adamites, Adamium, male and female, told them, go out and populate the earth. All right, go ahead.
And thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all those of them. And on the seventh day, Elohim ended.
All right, stop. He didn't end on the seventh day. So this translation, which is a Masoretic translation, is off on this point right here. Maybe in several points, we'll stick with this one. Is off right here because he didn't end his work on the seventh day. All right. He ended his work on the sixth day before the seventh day started. So the King James and the Masoretic text, the JPS, the Jewish Publication Society, they got it wrong. The Septuagint got it right, and the Samaritan Pentateuch, they got it right also. That he ended his work on the sixth day. I read that again.
And on the seventh day, Elohim ended his work.
So he didn't end on the 7th day. He ended on the 6th day. The 7th day he was resting. Go ahead.
Which he had made. And he rested on the 7th day.
He can't rest on the 7th day and then finish working on the 7th day. Like, man, just made it. I'm going to end my work and rest. No, I ended it on the 6th day. All right? He ended it on the 6th day. And then the evening and the morning were the 6th day. So as we get into the ending of that 6th day, going to the 7th day, he was finished his work. So he went into the Shabbat resting. Go ahead.
From all his work which he had made.
All right, call the next verse.
Genesis chapter 2, verse 3.
All right.
And Elohim blessed the 7th day.
So Yahweh blessed the day. What is a day? Evening and morning. So Yahweh blessed the 7th period of time, which is the evening and a morning. He blessed the 7th day, read,
and sanctified
and he made it holy. He set it apart from all of the other days, not according to the moon. There's only one measure of time that we have right now for days, and it's been the same since Genesis chapter 1, verse what? 3? All right. Verse 3. Let there be light. There was light. Elohim saw the light. And then verse 5, he called it light day, and the evening and the morning were the first day. So the evening and the morning were the first day. There's only one way we've been given to count the days so far, and it has nothing to do with the moon. So evening and morning, day 1. Evening and morning, day 2. Evening and morning, day 4. On day 4, he created the what? He created the moon. So now, 3 days later, the third evening, third period of darkness of the day, he made what? He made the Shabbat. He said, this is the 7th day. We're going to rest on this day. I want y'all to rest on this day. I'm going to make this day holy. This is a holy day, the 7th day, not Sunday, the first day. And not 7 days after the new moon. All we have is days of evening and morning. So we have 7 periods, 7 evenings. And on the 7th evening, all right, the 7th evening, when we can see the stars in the firmament, Yahweh says, this is the Sabbath day. Now, if you can show me in Genesis chapter 1 that he counted his days according to the moon, I will follow the lunar Sabbath. But you can't show that because he made the moon on the 4th day. So how is he counting the days before the moon is even made? Because it was just darkness and light. That's how he counted the days. So how can you say, oh, we're supposed to count the weeks according to the moon when he didn't do that? Are you above the Creator? Are you creating a doctrine that the Creator didn't do? Are you creating the doctrine that not even the Creator practices and observes? You can't do that. You cannot do that. You have to follow the model that Yahweh gives us from Bereshit, from Baraahshyath, from Genesis. And the model was evening and morning, evening and morning, evening and morning. And that 4th evening and morning, the 4th time period, he made the moon. And then he waited 3 more days, 3 more evenings, and then he said, what? This is the Sabbath day. So we got the Sabbath on the 7th day according to the evenings and the morning. That's it. That's how we count it. We don't got to go to no other books. This is it right here. Because this is telling us definitively how to count the days. He's telling you definitively evening and morning, evening and morning, evening and morning, evening and morning were the 5th day, or the 4th day. Then you have evening and morning, evening and morning. Then you got the evening. Okay? That 7th evening is the 7th day, beginning. And that's the Sabbath. According to the evening and mornings, not according to the new moon. And then when you got the evening and the morning with the new moon, and then he tells you to begin the year, to measure and count your years according to the lights in the firmament that were created before the sun and the moon were created on the same day 4 in Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. People try to look at Genesis chapter 1:14 and say, oh, this is the creation of the sun and the moon and the other stars. But then he just goes into detail and forth. That's a lie, because it tells you plainly, and we're not going to review it again. If you read it with understanding, you'll get it. If you don't read it with understanding, you want to argue and debate about it, then you're not going to get it. And I can't show you something that the Most High blinded you from. I can't do it. It's impossible. It's impossible. All right. So with that, with the conclusion of the first day Aliyah of Parashah Bereshit, of Parashah Baraahshyath, which means in the beginning or in the head, which includes Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, all the way to Genesis chapter 2, verse 3. Shema Yisrael Yahweh Eloheinu Yahweh Echad wa ahabta at Yahweh Elohayka bakal lababka wa bakal napashka wa bakal ma'aka. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh our power, Yahweh is one, and you shall love Yahweh your power with your heart, with all your soul, with all might. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. All right. So we thank Yahweh, Yahweh, for giving us understanding of your word, giving us understanding of the Torah. We thank you for letting us read in the English and look at the Hebrew words also to understand you better, understand your words better. Please bless us and guide us, forgive our iniquities and the iniquities of our fathers. Lead us into understanding, help us to obey you better, lead us into the way and the path of eternal life, follow behind your son, Yahweh Shah. In the name of your son, Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, hallelujah, 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 Tawaratanya Amen. All right, y'all, so that's it. Share this with your friends, post it to your page, study it, understand it, live it, and walk it. All right, hallelujah. All praise to Yahweh. Shalom Alaikum.